Welcome to 2018. First United Methodist Church is facing a great year. We have a lot in store for us this year, and we are in a very good position. Every year we share a startup video that helps you as a leader know exactly what's going on and how to lead your group within our church's system. I want to follow my notes here and allow you to see a little bit of that system to feel more comfortable about leading into this next year. It's exciting because our staff is in place, and to have leadership that is being freed up to be able to serve and lead in our church is really a powerful piece. And I'm thankful that our leadership is moving us forward, and I'm excited about how we are able to lean into strategy together as a team. We have a strategic budget in place with unprecedented pledge support. That is exciting for us as a church. We're leading our church toward the heart God has for us, and we've been sharing that heart in 5 different cultures. There is a poster back here to my left that I positioned so that you can see those 5 cultures, because we'll be reminding you through the year that we want you to help us both to promote those cultures and to help your group lead into those cultures as well. A culture of community, a culture of welcome, a culture of transformation, a culture of service, and a culture of generosity. That's going to be important for us. We're also going to be talking about Worship Plus 2, another way to help our congregation know that their attendance, their participation in small groups and in committees and ministry teams is very important. So their participation makes for our church's effectiveness. The nuts and bolts of our church are in your hands. That's both exciting and scary sometimes, because nothing is going to get done by the area that you are in charge of unless you and your team or your committee get that done. And so, for you to be able to imagine that God has put you in this place for this season so that your work begins to show up around our church and move us from where we are to where we need to be, that's important, and it's also exciting. So with this video, there is an email that's coming to you that also will have a number of pages that will support what I'm sharing with you. And in that email will be a roster of our complete leadership, and that leadership shares with you several things, 3 things. The church council list. The church council is our deciding body, so look through that list. Followed by that are the ministry teams, and the ministry teams are the groups that head up our ministry areas. All of our ministries are tied into one of those ministry teams. And then finally, our administrative committees. And when you see those committees, you'll recognize some traditional administrative groups that handle the administration of our church. The church council is chaired by Mike Moss this year and vice chaired by Bill Passwater Jr. And that council will meet 4 times this year. The dates for those meetings are posted in your packet. So look at those dates and go ahead and put those dates on your calendar today so that you'll have that available for you when that happens. The purpose of church council is to bring us together to collaborate, to communicate, and also to approve major decisions. Most of the decision making, though, happens at the ministry team and committee level. Which takes me to the ministry teams. The ministry teams are define a team that actually works together, owns the vision for that ministry area, takes responsibility together. They work together to make that happen. They're all tied to a staff member on our staff. And so there is a staff assignment page in your packet. Look at that page and notice which staff person is assigned to your area. That's going to be a key relationship you want to develop. And your staff person is being coached by us to cultivate that relationship so that you two are able to work together. Meetings of ministry teams will be coordinated between the chair and the staff person assigned. Membership in those teams can be altered throughout the year. Those teams are made up by people who have a passion for that ministry, that form of ministry. And then they meet as often as needed in coordination with your staff person. You can even plan retreats as needed. That's a neat way for you to be able to get the work of that ministry done. The administrative committees work slightly different. They tend to meet and make decisions that staff persons carry out. And every committee has a staff person assigned in a similar way. These are committees like the Staff Parish Relations Committee, or SPRC, the Finance Committee, the Trustees, the Investment Committee, the Ever Living Church Trust Committee, or ELCT, the Stewardship Committee, Nominations Committee. We want you to realize that these committees have special assignments and will meet in scheduled meetings, and you as a chair and your staff person can communicate the frequency of those meetings. How do you calendar items here at our church? Well, it's easiest to be able to work directly with your staff person who is assigned. And that staff person will in turn work with Charles Norton, who is over our facilities, but he's also over our calendar because he has to control the calendar to be able to manage the facilities well. And so they'll be in touch with Charles, make sure that space and make sure that there is ample security for a meeting that you need to have here. If it's off campus, it's a little less complicated, but still it would be important for it to be on the church calendar. Financial access. There are ways for you to be funded in what you have responsibility to get done. We have 3 different funding sources for our church. First of all, our ministry operations budget. That's our general budget. And when people give contributions, that money goes toward that ministry operations budget. And every ministry area and every administrative area has an assigned portion of that budget. So your staff person will help you know both the funding that you have for your area as well as how to access those funds. So the operation budget is source number 1. Some areas have agency funds. Agency funds are in and out accounts. They're usually tied to an event or a special activity. And those agency funds are kind of like a savings account. They roll over from year to year if there is a balance. If there's a negative balance, Finance Committee is going to want your area to make sure that it gets back to positive. A third source are designated funds. People give money that are designated for special things that we allow. And those designated funds are used specifically for the allotted purpose and are held until they are ready to be used. So talk to your staff person about where those 3 funding sources sit for your area and get with them about how we access and use those funds to be able to accomplish what we want to do. What we want you to understand is that we trust the leadership you and your staff person provide. We give you permission to move forward as a group. And as a group, if you make decisions, you have funding. If it's our mission and our vision as a church, we want you to be able to know you have permission to move forward. If something you're deciding doesn't really coordinate with the mission of our church, or if it's taking us in a different direction, then we would question those decisions. It's probably best to seek further input on those decisions. If there's no funding available, it's obvious that you probably need to seek more input on that decision. We want you to know that working with your staff person will help you access funds. We have a PO system. We have a system that helps protect and be good stewards of our funding, but also makes it relatively easy to be able to get things paid and to move ahead quickly. We do use credit cards, but we are very careful with how those are used, and only staff persons that have those credit cards will be able to help you. So you'll want to check with your staff person in that regard as well. We want to start 2018 with a spending throttle. This helps us slow down our expenses to kind of match them with how our revenue is coming in. And that's one of the ways we are able to manage in a church situation where we depend on contributions, revenue that we are not able to control. So if we control our expenses, it's helpful. And so we want your area to start with an 80% spending throttle. This helps you as a group begin to have a sense, here's our boundary, and so let's be careful to do our part to keep our spending to that level. As we go through the year, we'll adjust that spending throttle so that we can match our expenses with our revenue. The facility that we have is amazing. We have so much facility and it gets used 7 days a week. And yet, for us to do that calls for a lot of coordination, it calls for a lot of communication, and so we want you to use this facility well. We want you to have permission to go off campus as well. But to use our facility means that you need to work with your staff person to arrange for dates, to arrange for spaces. Make sure that if you're using the van or trailer that you include that in the same way as you would a meeting room. Facility use requests all go through Charles Norton. So your staff person will take those to him and make sure that your space is available and the use of that space is appropriate. So just know that your help with us on that helps everybody occupy this space and use it to its maximum ability. The strategies for us to keep in mind this year, if you want to keep this fresh on your mind, are all listed on a page in your packet. The mission of our church to create grace-filled environments or grace-filled community where Jesus Christ transforms lives. That's exciting for us. We love to see transformed lives. At every church council meeting, we ask the question, what are some transformation stories? What are some stories that tell us we're getting it right, where we're hitting our mark, where our mission is being hit? What are some lives that are being touched and changed, deepened, started, faith that is started, and how can we celebrate those stories? So our mission is an important piece of our story. Our vision is to be a growing grace-filled community, and so that vision statement in a longer form is printed on your page in the packet. Read through that and see where we as a church want to go, and you can get a sense of how your group can help us move in that direction. We also have 5 strategic objectives that are listed there on your page. Look at that list of objectives and see how your group, your area, can help us meet those. We also have these 5 cultures, the Heart of God cultures that we want you to help us with. And we want to ask you to practice worship +2 yourself and to be a leader and a model for that for our congregation. We, staff, are all accessible. We're available. We're here to serve you. Our phone numbers will be available to you on the staff roster page that's in your packet. Our email addresses are there. In fact, our email is very simple. It's my first initial with my last name at fumc.com. Every staff person's email here is the same. And so if you want to get a hold of me, it would be ccurry@fumc.com. And so think of that equation for the staff person you want to get in touch with. We're here to serve, to help you be a success in your area, and it's exciting to begin to imagine the opportunities that we have to make a difference, not just for our church, but in individual lives and families. To be able to recognize where transformation begins to build on itself and lives are touched, and we have more stories to tell at the end of 2018. So let's make 2018 a great ministry year for the future of First United Methodist Church and God's kingdom. Thank you.